You guys are probably shit at editing photos, and I'm here to help you change that. So I'm gonna go through a set of photos that I took on a random day. I have not edited these photos yet. I'll put them up on the screen now so you can see what they look like. And I'm gonna show you how I edit these photos in a cinematic way that I actually like. Not what other people like, not what they think is good or bad, what I like. What helps me tell the story that I'm trying to tell. I'm not gonna tell you what camera I'm using because at the end of the day, it's not the fucking camera. Okay, it's not. Trust me, I've been there where I thought it was. Just take your phone and go take pictures. Like, here are some phone photos that I took. You can do a lot with any camera nowadays. I'm gonna give you my thought process of what I want this image to feel like, what I'm trying to get out of it, and what I want the person looking at the photo to feel as well. It's important. Editing images is all about the feel. You know, you could go for like a super dark, moody, eerie vibe or a sunny, bright. You get it, right? The same picture can give off a different vibe based off the editing. I'm gonna help you figure out how you can give the feeling you want to give. Fuck, maybe I can't do that. Sit back. You're gonna learn a lot. I hope you do in this video. I'm sure you will. I don't see you guys fucking not learning anything because you're not retarded. I've not edited these photos yet. There's trial and error, and I'm gonna show you what that trial and error looks like. We're gonna edit this photo first. What I like to do is use the ratio or the aspect ratio that I'm gonna use for all the photos, and I like to straighten the image out. And so I'm happy with this. I'm going to add some noise reduction. I'm going to go to my profile and just fix the profile corrections and the chromatic aberration that could be in the photo. There's no point of using this dropper tool, so I'm just gonna go straight to manually doing it and kind of like seeing what I think looks great and what looked like the actual environment, okay? I don't like going too green or too magenta or too warm when I'm trying to, before I edit the photos. Perfect. I think this is a great start. Next, what I do, actually, I'm gonna turn this down a little bit, before, after. Next, what I do is I go straight to this color mixer and I decide what colors I want to be in this photo. Okay, so first I turn everything off and I see what I have to work with, okay? So now that everything's desaturated, I like to see what colors I have to play around with. So red, we're gonna be dealing with a lot of red. Cool. Oranges, skin tones, the hats, maybe a bit of the sun, whatever, cool. The yellows, let me just fix this. Okay, so yes, the yellows, it's gonna be in the trees and this thing, which I'm okay with right now. I do want to change that later on. The greens, I'm probably gonna change later on. There's not much green to mess around with in this image. So like I was saying earlier, you want a variety of colors and different things that you could mess around with in one image, lighting, shadows, so that when you do put it on another photo, you kind of know what to expect. But I can't really do that with greens right now because I don't have much greens in the photo, right? So you gotta look out for that. Blues, there's not gonna be much aqua, but there might be people wearing jeans, bags, etc. I'm gonna keep this decrease a little bit. I'm gonna go for like a darker density color when it comes to the blue. The purples, I'm gonna keep a little bit of that out. I don't like purples in my image, but some people are gonna be wearing like magenta-y clothes, like flowers and stuff. I'll keep that down a little bit. I don't want it to be too obvious, right? So we got the reds, we'll bring that back. We have the oranges, we'll bring that back. The yellows, we'll bring that back. The greens, bring that up back. We're gonna desaturate just a little bit because I do like going for a little desaturation. The greens makes it a little more cinematic. So this is the after, this is the before, after. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to mess around in this panel right here because I like to mess around with this first because it's kind of like the foundation of how your image is gonna look like. So basically this curve, which can affect the highlights and the contrast and everything, think of it as a layer in Photoshop, right? So you have your first layer, which is this, right? And then this one. So if my highlights are super bright here, this is not gonna like bring it down at all. It's not going to do it at all. But let's say your highlights were high up here, this can bring it down. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I don't know if I'm explaining it well. It's like the foundation of the actual image. It's like it has all the information you need. This is just kind of like to style your photo a little bit, you know what I mean? To add some fade. It's just to style it. But this is where you want to work with when it comes to getting information, increasing certain parts of the image, shadows, bringing down the highlights. This is where you want to do everything, not here. So that's what we're going to do. I want a little bit more detail because when I bring some contrast in here, I'm gonna crush a lot of blacks. So not crush, but just I'm gonna make them more contrast. It's gonna be more. There's gonna be a lot more contrast. I'm gonna take out some contrast so I have a lot more information to work with here, and it's pretty much. I'm gonna bring the highlights down a little bit. I don't want there to be that much sun flare because it can get distracting. I'm gonna increase the exposure a little bit. For the dehaze, now there's a lot of color in this picture. We'll bring in a little bit more color because it's making the image less hazy, right? But I gotta see how I want to work with this photo. Right now I'm gonna decrease it for now. If I need to increase it, I will. As for clarity, I'm gonna bring in just a little bit and a little bit of texture. Yeah, because there are some images, if you take out some clarity, it can look really nice, but this is not one of those pictures. Actually, it is. It is. I just lied. But it's not as nice because of the sun flare and everything. It's not working, at least for me. So I'm going to increase it just a little bit. I'm going to take out some dehaze. Because when you take out dehaze, you take out some clarity as well. So yeah, we don't need to mess with the whites. Now I'm going to move to the tone curve. So this is where I'm styling the photo. There's different options here. You can use these, but if you're a beginner, just focus on these. You have the highlights, midtones, and the shadows. I'm going for something cinematic. Like I want the shot to look like it came from a movie. Okay, so how we're gonna go about that is we need to add some contrast because right now it looks like it was shot in fucking S-Log3. So we're gonna add some contrast. The closer you get here, the darker it will be. So if I'm over here, this line has to hit here. Like you can see the difference, right? So you can even move this right here and then do the curve. So you have more contrast because it's the angle of the line is steeper. I don't go for like that typical S curve. Like each image you're gonna have to edit differently with a tone curve. But what I like to do is right after the contrast, I like to bring this up. Okay, so right after the contrast, I bring that up. So then it provides like a sharper S curve, but more like you can see it over here. It's a lot more. And you can bring this down if you want to. I won't, because I like it. Also, if you tap on one of these dots, you can like adjust them using this slider right here. It's not a slider, but I'm actually gonna add a little bit of fade as well. Bring this contrast, this little point up right here. That's pretty much it. All right, so I'll go before, after. Now from here, I'm gonna edit the image a little bit more to get the kind of look I want. All right, so keep that the same. I'm liking that. This is all good. I'm gonna take out some color as well because I'm finding that this is a little too bright. I'm going for that cinematic look, right? This panel over here will kind of give you that similar effect where you can like stylize your photo a little bit more. So if you crush the highlights, you're kind of like getting a little bit of information back, but it's not as like if you look at his face over here. You know what I mean? You're basically matting out the image. You're making it look more matte versus, you know what I mean? So I like to turn this down just a little bit. I like to increase the light and then the darks, and I bring down the shadow. I'm also gonna just adjust this white balance a little bit, bring back some saturation, take out some vibrance. Yeah, that's good. All right, so I want to now take out some clarity and then bring in some dehaze. I think that's gonna give me the look I'm looking for a little bit more. You don't want to go too crazy with the clarity, but just enough. I think this is great. And I add some texture back after I take out some clarity because it helps with the softness problem that you run into. Bring down the whites a little bit. Increasing the blacks. I'm gonna go back here and make that fade a little stronger. Before, after. Now we can do some color grading. Now, my thought process for this, there's a lot of reds. There's a lot of skin tones. There's a lot of, what I'm gonna do first is go into the shadows and see sometimes you got to start with the midtones. Sometimes you got to start with the highlights. I like to start in order. So shadows, I'm going to see what effect I can bring into this image by messing around with the sliders. Okay. So I'm going for kind of like a cyan blue right now because there is a lot of reds and I need something to combat that. And increasing the luminance will create like a fade to the image as well. I'm actually going to go back here, reset the channel, and I'm going to just bring this in and then bring this up. Bring in some contrast here. Take out some highlights and decrease the shadows. I want to work with this now for the color grade. To recreate that film look, you probably want to stick with the green and yellows. For this image, I want it to look cinematic, but I want to also bring out the sun, right? Because that's kind of like the main thing here. There's people, there's sunlight, you know what I mean? I don't want it to be cold and moody because that's not what it felt like here, right? So I'm going to use the environment to help me create my style, right, for this image. So I'm going to push for more of a warm vibe right now. That's good. You can totally do that. You don't want to overdo this because this can look very muddy and just not good. Midtones, you can push a little more. And I slowly just go around to see what I like. Now, I'm not going to go for blue because it's not a cold day, right? It's a warm day. So I'm still going to focus on the oranges or Now, you don't want to go too red because that just looks stupid. You don't want to go too green because that looks yucky. So right here is a good place to work with. Now for the highlights, same thing. You don't want to go for something cold because that's not the point. We're gonna go for green, desaturate a little bit, and turn down the luminance so we can get that matte look. Actually, I'm gonna keep this high. Actually, hold on. I'm gonna bring this up. All right, so this is looking a little too orange for me. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go to global and fix the kind of like orangey muddy look that I'm getting right now. I'm gonna go to the opposite side and bring the luminous. Actually, no, I'm gonna keep this here, but I'm just gonna slide it just a little bit so that I can bring back some of that realism to the photo because I don't want it to look too weird. For these shadows, I'm gonna bring it over to the greens a little bit more. I'm gonna bring this down. I'm gonna bring this bit down. All right, before, after. So now we have more of a cinematic look, right? So all we did was bring the shadows to the green, mid-tone to the yellows, and then we added some yellow highlights. You can add some grain as well. For grain, I like to stick either at these settings, 25, 48, 50, or if it looks too like this is not working in my opinion, I like to just keep it at 25, 25, and 50. So it adds a little bit, but it's not too much. And some photos just don't need grain. And if it doesn't need grain, you can add a little bit. You can go to like 8. Right now we're getting a lot of contrast in this area, which we're not liking. I've been editing for this area, but not watching over here, right? And to fix that, you can either just increase the shadows, but we're not gonna, no, because we want to keep this area. I mean, that's where the eyes are going, right? Yeah, so what we're gonna do is just use a mask, right? You go here, you can either take out some contrast, or you could dehaze this part of the image, or you could lift up the shadows. So there's a lot you can do. I'm gonna take out the contrast and we'll copy it to another image. Let's say this one. Let's see the results we're gonna get. I'm probably not gonna expect it. All right, so super contrasty, as you can see. So what we're gonna do now is reset this channel, see what that does. Okay, we brought some contrast back. Cool, I'm gonna decrease the highlights because I want some of the detail back on her face. I like the shadows, it's pretty good where it is. Now I'm going to re-edit this tone curve. Now you don't always have to re-edit the tone curve. Sometimes the pictures can just look really nice and you don't have to worry about that. But in this photo, we have to. So I'm just gonna bring up the fade a little bit. I'm gonna bring down the blacks. and then turn this up right away. So you have like a sharp S curve. I'm gonna bring down the highlights here, bring down the exposure. Keep this the same. Bring in some clarity. There we go. We have like this photo now of her, and it looks great. Now I would say the highlights are a lot in her face. I do want some more detail in her face. So I'm just gonna go to the luminance tab right here, bring some of this down, and this will help the photo. So yeah, here we go. That's beautiful. What I want to do as well for this sky right here is see warm. Okay, I need some more blues. I'm gonna take out the blues. I'm also going to go more of cyan look and bring the luminance down, and it will give a nice effect to the blues in the sky, which I like. Looks more filmic, you know. Here's the image without the color grade. Here's with the color grade. Okay, I like that. Now there's more green here. We're facing not the sun, but a better angle. We can see more of the greenery. I'm gonna turn this up. I'm gonna bring the hue to the right just a little bit, maybe by +10. Take out some saturation. I think about 45 is okay for this image, before and after. It's perfect, right? This is lovely. Now we can copy this one and take it, and here's the thing. When you copy a photo and you have a very similar photo, like this one, same angle, same direction, same lighting, you can copy that exact same look to it. Not this photo, because look, we're facing the sun now. Let's see what this edit looks like. Copy it, paste it, reset the crop. Okay, this is looking good, but here are the adjustments I'm gonna make, and just watch me do it. So this is the after. This is the before, after, before, after. Here's the full image. The edit would look great on this photo, I already know. We're just gonna have to fix the ratio here. And the temperature. So let's bring, I want to be super contrasty. All right. And the whites. There we go. Perfect. I'm happy with this photo. Cool. Now for this photo, I can copy the exact same look here. Okay, this is good. I want to see what I want to do here. Maybe decrease the shadows, increase the exposure, bring down the highlights, add in some more warmth, bring in the blacks a little bit, fade everything in, bring up the contrast, take out some clarity. We could do a lot here. We could take out like a lot more clarity. We can do 25% compared to the 10% we did in the first image, right? This just allows for it. I want the focus to be the center of the image, so I'm going to decrease everything here. What I'm going to do as well is I'm going to add a few touches with the mask. So I'm just going to go over here, increase the highlights because I want the sun to show a little bit more. So that's all I'm doing. I'm just increasing maybe the whites as well. What you can do as well is just delete this and use a brush to get very specific, which is a much better idea if you want to be more precise. You can even up the exposure as well. You can even make it warmer if you want as well. Cool. So that's that. That's the only side we need to do really. I would say we can put a radial gradient in the middle here and just increase the exposure and the shadows, not the highlights. Highlights, we can keep this the same. We're good. And we'll just take a brush and subtract the trees because there's a lot already here. We don't want to like lose detail, but we just want like this kind of glow. And what I'll do as well is just increase the temperature a little bit because I'm getting like a lot of blues I don't like there. Perfect. For the blues, we can increase it just a little bit. Actually, I'm gonna go back here, take out some shadow. I'm gonna increase some clarity and texture. It's kind of like a little messy there. Anyways, this is the photo. Before, after. I'm happy with it. I'm just gonna center this a little bit more. There we go. Final photo. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I love it. It came out just like I thought in my head. All right. For this blue hour photo, what we're going to do, since there's a lot of noise, we're going to edit this one. So this is going to help me edit all of them, right? I'm going to pick one that I can work with, and we're going to edit this photo. All right. First things first, we're going to do the exact same thing. Set the aspect ratio and the whatever. And the crop. Then we're gonna check these two. Cool. We're actually gonna add some denoise, and we're gonna bring that down to like 20%. Because we're okay with noise, we just don't want too much. We're gonna check this denoise option, and we're gonna take out all the colors. I'm gonna add back in these colors. I don't really need to add in the yellows. Maybe for inside of the truck, that's fine. Greens, I'll add it, and I'm gonna actually change the hue. You look over here. I'm gonna change the hue to green, and then I'm gonna bring in some blues. We're gonna be heavy on the blues, actually. Yeah, I think that's what we want to do, right? If we're going for cinematic, we don't have to, but I want this too. What's the purples? Purples. Okay, I'm actually gonna keep some of the purples out because I'm not liking them. Purples and magentas, I'm gonna keep them out. The blues, this is great. I'm gonna try to go for more of an aqua color. Because you don't see that a lot. I think it'll make it pop a lot. Cool. So you have our blues. I'm figuring whether I want to keep it like this or add in some more blues. I'll figure that out later. I could even just desaturate the colors in the image and then just add in more blues. Let's focus on that. Let's try that and see how that goes. Now we're going to tweak some of the settings here. I want to go for a good amount of contrast between like shadows and like this thing. I want this to be high. Like I could do this and it'll look kind of like, I don't know. I'm not going for one of those real estate photos. I don't mind it being a little dramatic, you know? Cool. Can turn down the whites and increase the blacks. Could take out a little bit of clarity, add some dehaze. Yeah, add some dehaze and then some texture. Then we're gonna move here. I'm gonna go for a fade. And so maybe a big fade actually on both ends. And then I'm just gonna add some contrast. I'm actually gonna decrease the fade to 20. Make an S curve. I'm gonna up the shadows here. Actually, I'm gonna increase the exposure. I'm actually going to take out some dehaze and take out some contrast here and add a little bit more fade. Like so. So before and after. There's a lot of fade right now. We'll worry about that later. I'm gonna add in some highlights up here. And I'm gonna go here, increase the lights, darks. Don't worry about the shadows. I'm gonna bring the highlights in a little bit. Cool. I was looking a little too faded, I know. Just don't mind me. I'm gonna go here to the color grading section, and then I'm going for like a blue kind of vibe to this because the food truck is blue. There's a little bit of orange, and over here was like very warm and, you know, vibrant. I'm going for something different here. these night photos. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the shadow slider. I'm gonna change the hue to, I'm gonna go for the green still. I'm gonna maintain the consistent look. And I'm just gonna decrease the luminance, which will help with that whole fade problem that we were dealing with because it was too faded. We can even increase that just a little bit. Add a little bit of green. We don't want the green to be obvious. You know what I mean? You don't want to add too much. I just want a little bit so that you can see it a little bit here. Right, it's just adding a slight touch to it. I could even bring that down a little bit to the blues. I'm just not fucking with it. I think I want it to match the other photos that I was doing, which I did use green in the shadows. For the midtones, thinking about going for like a blue kind of feel. I want it to be cold. I think I'm going to keep it kind of green, increase the luminance. Let's see. We'll try, honestly, yeah, we'll keep it here for now. We can change it if we need to. We'll keep it down. For the highlights, I think we're going to go for a little bit of yellow. Yeah, I think we're going to go for a little bit of yellow. Bring that down. You see what we're looking at right now is this. We're going for that kind of film look too. So if we increase it, you get that vibe, you know? And basically decreasing the luminance shows like it kind of adds more color to the yellow. Like it mats the whites out. Sorry, that's not even English. It makes the whites more matte looking, so you can see a lot more of the yellow, right? And I'll show you before and after the color grade. Before, after. Now it's a little too harsh. There's a lot of greens. I think I'm gonna bring this down here because we are using yellows in the highlights, which is pretty obvious. Before, after. This looks a lot more cinematic. That's what I'm going for. For this overall global effect, I do want it to be, let's look at this for a second. I'm going to decrease the luminance because it adds more of the effect. What am I looking for? So right now I'm just playing with the sliders to see what feels best for me, what I like most. I'm actually going to decrease some of the midtones. That's fine. I'm going to increase the expression. I'm going to increase the highlights. What am I going to do? Hold up. There's a lot of green in the image right now. I think I'm going to keep this higher. There's a lot of blues. I might contrast that with orange in the shadows. Just don't want it to look like it's daytime. I want it to look like it's blue hour, you know? But I'm kind of losing that. So I might add something in the sky. So I'll add a little bit of blue. Like so, to kind of just show that, hey, it's actually blue hour, guys. Didn't forget about that. Yeah. So keep that blue there. Highlights will decrease just a little bit. Perfect. Okay. It's got a little bit darker, which I'm fine with. This is kind of what we're working with. It's not a bad image. Looks really cool. Looks straight out of a movie. Before, after, before, after. Probably gonna increase the highlights a little bit here. I don't want, what's happening here? I think, yeah, I'm gonna turn down the darks just a little bit. Increase the exposure. This gives more of the vibe that it's actually at night instead of day, because you can make night photos look like it's in daytime, by the way. I'm not going for that. I want people to know it's dark, you know? I think this shows it perfectly, right? So this is the after. This is the before. Can probably show it to you side by side. There we go. This is great. I love this. It's great. So now I'm going to copy this look to the other images. So I'm just going to copy. All right, so there's a lot of greens. Something is off. Okay. Let's see what that is, because look at this image. This looks basically grayscale with a bit of color grading. So what we're gonna need to do to fix this, it's pretty simple. Let's see what we're working with here. All right, so we're working with a lot of magentas. Okay. So let's bring in some magenta. Let's turn down the sky a little bit. Let's actually add a sky filter or mask. I want to get some blues in there. Let's turn it to be very magenta-y, which is weird. It's actually a really difficult image to add it. I've never had one of my images come out like that. This is so interesting. Okay. All right, this is strange. Wow, okay, I didn't think I would. All right, what do we do here? Let's reset this here. Let's figure out what to do. This is before, okay. This is so strange. All right, let's see if we can fix the white balance here. Okay, that is the correct white balance. We want to go for more blue. Look, add some magenta. Now we're gonna have to change some colors here. Let's need to get the blues right. And figure out what colors we want to stay in the image. So reds, oranges, sure. Yellows are good. Greens, there's no greens. Blue, there's no blue, but there should be a lot of blues. Magenta, I'm not gonna keep that. If anything, I'm gonna make it blue. Okay. And there's nothing in the sky right now, so I want to add some color there. Okay, that's a much better image. It actually got so fucked for some reason. I have no clue why. Yeah, like these two images are completely different, right? And it's just on the opposite side of each other. But yeah, we went from this to this. It's much better. I like it. It's good. Yeah, let me actually add a mask that gets the highlights boosted here. I'm gonna add another one here. That's fine. Okay. Cool. And then I'm going to actually just increase the highlights. Mid-tones, I'm going to add a little bit of shadows. Shadows are fine. I'm going to keep that cool look going. So I'm going to push it to the greens a little bit. That's fine. I'm happy with that. This is the after. Looks pretty sick. See what happens when we paste that edit with the color grade and everything on it. I think because we're facing the thing a lot. But look at the sky. It's really purple. I mean, because that's where the sun was setting. Sun sets this way. Yeah, we'll correct that. I think this is going to turn into another grayscale image that looks freaking weird. It's a little bit better. It's a little bit better. This is fine. What we'll do is increase the magenta, increase the exposure. I'm actually liking the very dark shadows in it. Dark look to it. The sky. Yeah, that's fine. gonna do that. We're not gonna do this either. We could just put a linear this. We'll do this. We'll darken it a little bit. And then we'll grab a radial gradient and we'll just put the exposure up a little bit here. And the highlights and the not the saturation. That's fine. Before and after. I'm liking this. I think I'm gonna decrease the darks a little bit, increase the lights, increase the shadows a little bit. Now his skin tones looking a little green. I want to make it a little bit more red. So what I'm probably gonna do is go to this panel right here and just increase the reds a little bit. Just on his face. So we get some of that orange look. We can also bring this down a little bit. And we're gonna do the same on her face. Perfect. Increase the shadows a little bit so we can see some information. Increase a little bit of exposure. Perfect. I'll show you what the mask did before. After. Cool. And then we're going to just bring a little linear thing here. Just turn this down. Just so that we can bring more attention to this side of the image, right? So with the sky here, just going to bring it to a little bit more green. Yeah, let's try this. Okay, that works. Cool, amazing. I love this photo. It's actually super nice. This is the final photo. Okay. Cool. So let's bring this down a little bit. I like this photo. I'm just going to make sure that there's some space between the truck and the top of the image. I don't want it cutting off. This is perfect. Okay. So decrease. Actually, I'm going to keep that the same. I'm just going to mess around with the settings to see what I like and don't like about this. Okay, I think it's good so far. I think I might do a bit of that. Compared to this image, this one's a lot more warmer. I'm gonna go ahead and take out some blue in the sky. I'm going to decrease the exposure because these are more silhouette-like photos, if that makes sense. So I'm going to try to keep that look. I'm not going to force it to be different. Remember, it's about embracing remember, it's about embracing the environment, right? I'm not trying to change the environment, but I'm trying to add my own twist to it, right? I'm trying to exaggerate the vibe. I'm liking that. I'm liking that a lot, actually. I'm just going to increase the highlights a bit and the midtones. I'm going to go more green in the midtones. All right. Before, after. I'm going to actually decrease the highlights a little bit. Increase the luminance. Perfect. I'm happy with that. Shadows, I'm gonna go a little bit. I'm actually gonna keep it there. That's fine. Add a little bit more fade, and I think we're good. This is the final image. Amazing. This is the before and after. I'm liking it. There's something a little bit off about it. I'm not sure what it is. Can't put my finger on it. Maybe it's the magenta, possibly. Yeah, I think it was that. I think it was a little too green. Before, after. I'm happy with this. Yeah, I want to keep that dark look to it. I'll keep the highlights up. I'm going to add a little bit of a lowered exposure there. I'm also going to get a brush and paint in the road a little bit so I can get more of that exaggerated orange, because I think it would really help with the image. Perfect. Cool. I'm actually going to go down here and go to manual, constrain crop, and I'm going to just add that, and it should give me like an interesting effect that I like doing with my images. Kind of like, I don't know, gives a weird fisheye look to it. Cool. We can just censor the Canada thing. Also, actually, I don't know if I want to censor them or the, no, I want to censor the Canada thing. Yeah, that's perfect. Now you can see there's a lot of greens. It's disgusting. Let's see what happens if we click on something white, if it's going to fix it or not. No, it did not. So let's add our own. Let's add our magenta. That helps a lot. Let's add in this, but then you can see it adds like a weird purple look to it. So what we're going to do is go down here, take out all the colors, and we're going to add what we want. Okay. So we want reds, we want oranges, we want a little bit of yellow. We can even change those yellows to orange a little bit. We want green. No, we don't. Do we want blue? No. Yes, we want blue here. Decrease this to make sure the blue is blue. So we're going to bring it over to the cyan a little bit. Saturation for the purples, we're going to go here and here. Now her jeans are a little fucked, so the color purple is weird. So we're going to bring it over to the blue a little bit. Desaturate it. Let's bring this over there as well. Blues, purples, bring that down. It's fine. Center this. I'm going to copy and do the same thing here. People down here. I like this angle. This is good. Let's see what each mask does. So this one, okay, takes out the saturation a little bit, adds a lot more blue, fixes that aspect of them. It's cool. Could show them a little bit more. Just decrease the highlights there. This one is, what's this? The sky. All right. I see. Let's keep that like that. This we can turn off. What's this? Okay. That's fine. We can keep that the same. Now for this, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of color that's not in the image. What's there? There's green. There's... All right, we're going to make our own fireworks. All right. Let's get all these colors. Take this out. We don't need blues. We don't need this. We don't need the greens. We don't need the yellow. We need a little bit of yellows. Okay, so let's turn this down. Let's make the image. That's fine. I actually have to go back here. Maybe increase this a little bit. I want there to be a little bit. Let's see what we can do with this. They were a little bit green, am I right? They were like that a little bit. I don't mind it. I can actually just take some out as well if I need to. That's fine. I do want to increase some of the blues. I want it to be a little bit of blue. I'm also going to decrease the highlights in these just a little bit. There's actually a lot of information that's coming back. That's interesting. I'm going to go back down here and decrease some of the saturation of these people. Perfect. Cool. I'm okay with these. Okay, this is pretty good. We don't need to do crazy editing with it. Crop these two people out. I'm going to go here and take this out. I'm going to do that. Center it a little bit. Like so. I'm also going to increase the saturation and increase the blues in the shadow. I think we're going to do this. We're going to globally add the blues like so. Take that out just a little bit actually. Okay. That's good. I fuck with this. This is great. Cool. This is the after image. You can honestly take out some of the fade and see how it looks. You know what? I think it looks better without the fade. I'm going to take some of it out actually. What I like to do is I have Dehancer. So you're going to have to pay for this. This helps me add a little bit more to my image. Now this is a great image, right? Before, after, like this looks great, right? Now I can show you the side by side. You can see like it's a good before and after, right? Now you can go to Dehancer and add some final touches. Now this will help your photos look a little more filmic, right? But basically what you want to do is you don't have to use any of these presets or anything. I don't do that. Like you can, but you don't have to. What you want to do is basically go over to this side, click Film Developer. You can add some contrast if you need to. Whatever you didn't do in Lightroom, you can do. You can even add a little more contrast, even if you did already do it in Lightroom. Anyways, film compression. That's going to help me in the sky. Right, you can see that it's making everything a little softer. Tonal range, bring down the highlights. I'm keeping this here. I'm keeping the impact very, very low. Color density is fine. Expand. Right, so what this will do is it will help fade your photo a little bit or make, you know, like the blacks, you're basically raising the blacks or decreasing it. I'm going to raise the blacks just a little bit, the white point as well. I'm going to leave the white point, but increase the blacks. Yeah. And for the print, you can do linear, whatever, all of these. I'm sticking to glossy paper. And then I can also increase the exposure if I want to, or decrease it. I'm going to increase it because I like the bright look to this. Color density just makes all of, it's kind of like the luminance in Lightroom. Yeah, so that's what print looks like. Color head, you can, it's basically just color grading a little bit. So turn this will affect the shadows only, right? So right now it's in the middle. I'm going to turn it a little bit warmer because I want that warm look in the shadows, and I like what it's doing to the jeans. Now this is for the midtones, right? You get more yellow. I'm gonna keep it a little bit more to the yellow. Actually, the highlights, I'm gonna turn the highlights a little to the yellow, and then the midtones a little to the blue, before and after. Not a big difference, I can notice it. You also have these three, which is to the overall image. I'd say it was too green. You can turn it a little more magenta, or if it's too magenta, you can turn it more green. You get it. Same with this. This is like the tone curve panel as well in Lightroom, the RGB, and then yeah. So I'm gonna make mine just a little more cyan here. Add a little bit more magenta, and then a little bit of yellow in the sky. So this is a before and after. Very, very slight differences. I'm making them, I can see them. If you can't see them, that's fine. Next we have here is film grain. Now this grain is much better than Lightroom grain. You can pick literally any and then customize it, right? So you can see in the sky here. This is before or after, by the way. So I'm gonna go into custom. You can choose the amount of grain you want. You can choose whether you want there to be color with the grain or no color. You can change the size of the grain. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to turn these all the way down. You can also change the resolution. So if you want it to be more clear, you can have all that grain, but also have the detail, right? Versus it being super blurry. Anyways, we'll keep that at that. I'm gonna reset those. I'm just gonna play what I think kind of looks noticeable, but isn't too there. So let's go size. I like a good size for my green. Resolution I like to decrease that a little bit. Turn on size. I think I'm gonna go for something like yeah, let's go for 10 and 50. Let's go for 45. Yeah, I don't know. 1 second. Alright, we're going with this. I fuck with this. Actually, I'm turning this down a little bit. There we go. Alright, I fuck with this. This is fine. You don't need to go over. Cool. Now we're going to halation. Now it's, you know what halation is, right? It's just those, the orange things on the edges. That it's like that in movies and some whatever. I don't fucking know, but it really makes your image look so much more cinematic. You have mask mode so you can see what's being affected. What I'm gonna do is change the hue to an orange. Okay, because we're in daylight, we're in sunny. I like changing it to orange, especially because like the reds, I don't know. This is too much for my image sometimes. So orange kind of blends in, especially if it's on like a warm day or something. I'm also going to turn down the amplify thing here. You can also see in mask mode for what's being affected. Global diffusion, there's a lot of halation being affected to like everything. If I show you in mask mode, right? I'm gonna keep it around 11, so it's affecting the edges, but just enough to where it adds a little effect to it, but it's not actually changing everything. Cool. Bloom, right? So this is like if you have like a black mist filter, yeah, it's like this kind of like interesting blooming soft glow. It's kind of like turning down clarity in Lightroom, but much better. So you have the diffusion. So you have like when you get like a filter, when you get like a filter for your lens, you can choose a diffusion. What would you call it? Diffusion size? It's not size. Diffusion rate. But anyways, there's 1/2, 1/4, 1/8, and yeah, you can just mess around with it like that. You can also turn on the mask mode so you can see what's being affected, right? So I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna go for the most natural look. So I'm gonna increase the save lights. I'm going to turn the diffusion up, detail up, source limiter. I'm also gonna turn down the amplify. Actually, I'm gonna keep this high for a second. I'm gonna go to impact and see if I turn this down, or if I turn amplify down and keep impact up. What do I like better is the question. Cool. All right, we're gonna go halfway for each. Fuck it. I'm just gonna stick to this. Before and after. I like that. Actually go impact. I'm actually gonna turn that down. I'm actually gonna increase this. Yeah, I think I'm happy with this. And turn that down just in case it looks too stupid. Okay, cool. No, right there. Okay, cool. Before and after with the bloom. Cool. Then you have film damage. I use this, but rarely. It's not gonna be too noticeable in the daytime. At night, it is noticeable. If you're shooting the sky or something, I don't know. Overscan, I don't need to use this. Vignette is nice. Oh shit. Vignette is nice. It just adds a little more. I don't know. I just increased it. Okay. That's fine. -3 won't do much. But yeah, like here's the after and then the before. After. You know what I mean? It just adds like this extra layer of like goodness. You know what I'm saying? So I usually use this after I start editing my photos just to like, because there's just some things that are just not good. Like I don't want to recreate in Photoshop or anything. So I just go here to use it. And it's better. I'm going to honestly turn down the bloom because it's a bit much. Yeah, much better. Okay, then you can save this as a preset. Idea. I'm going to choose probably this one. Actually, I'm going to choose this one. I like this one. So we're going to go with this. So I'm just going to open this in Dehancer. Press OK. And it's going to copy the exact same things. And bam, like look, it's using the exact same settings that I used on the previous photo. If we go out, just look how much, it just makes it so much better. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, right? Press OK. And if I show you something, if we go here, reset this, and we use the exact same settings, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, not bad. Okay, not bad. You know, you can still see the, you know, it's an okay image. You know what I mean? Like you can go ahead and edit it from there. I mean, you're probably not gonna have as much information, I don't think. Maybe you will. Hold on. Maybe you will. I'm not sure. Yeah, but right. So look, here's the one with no edit plus Dehancer. This is the one with no edit, and this is the one with the edit plus Dehancer. It looks absolutely beautiful. I'm actually gonna turn down some of the yellows. But yeah, like that's super nice, right? So you have the before and after. So yeah, I use a combination of both, and it just adds another level to my image. I'm actually gonna go into Dehancer and edit the image. So I'll show you what it's like to add a little bit of color grading to it. We're probably gonna use the exact same settings to keep that consistency, but I'll show you color head here. So I'm probably going to make it a little warmer because it's a little too blue for me. Add a little bit of, yes. There we go. I fixed it to my liking. So before, after. I'm happy with this. You can even just do a little bit more halation if you want to bring that cinematic look to it, like so. So if you look over here on the highlights, before, after, right, you're getting a little bit more. You can even change the hue to red and it'll show better. But yeah, right, amazing. You can even do that with the bloom as well. I don't need to do that. I'm actually going to turn down the save lights a little bit. But yeah, cool. Right, so before, after. Yeah, it just adds another layer to your image. So if we go ahead and reset this, oh shit. So if we go ahead and reset this picture, This is the before, complete before. This is the after. Look how epic this looks. It looks like you shot on film. Like, what? It's awesome. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna do that with the rest of the photos, and I'm gonna export them and show you